And now Famos will create the inverted highborn. Famos will use his 1.5 guard by wall to trim the side hair and get his canvas ready for his highborn. Using the Andes T outliner, Famos will begin to sketch out his highborn part using only the corner of the blade. Famos will now add a second line identical to the first one, right above his previous one. Famos will continue to etch out his highborn part using only the left and right side of his blade. Applying very little pressure, letting the T outliner do all the work. Famos will now add a line to create his 3D look right above his previous highborn part. Famos will begin to bald out these sections using the T outliner. Famos will now go back to touch up some previous work with his T outliner, defining the lines using only the corner of the blade. Famos will now create the back part of the 3D by scraping up in a fading motion using the T outliner. Famos will begin to blend out this section in doing a flare motion by scraping using only the corner of the T outliner. Famos will continue to work on the 3D effect using the T outliner. Famos will now flip the Andes T outliner upside down to define the 3D part. Famos will use the sterling reflections to create a small blend. Famos will now go back to perfect his highborn part by flipping his clipper upside down. Famos will now create a 4 AM that will transition into the highborn. Starting at the temple peak point, Famos will grab his T outliner and use only the corner of the blade to begin to do his first line, up and around his ear. Famos will now create his second line right below his first part. Famos will continue using the T outliner to continue to sketch out his part. Famos will now work in the sideburn area, creating sharp hooks using only the corner of the blade. Famos will now use his sterling reflections and create a blend in between his two lines. Using the 1 guard by wall, opening and closing the lever, Scott will continue to blend. Famos will now use his T outliner to create his second guideline right below his previous part. Famos will now use the sterling reflections to blend out the bottom part of the 4 AM fade. Famos will continue to blend using the sterling reflections, opening and closing the lever using the corner technique. Famos will now use the 1 guard by wall and trim some of the hair down right below his 3D part. Famos will now use no guard with the lever open and continue to blend right above the ear. Famos will now open and close the lever to continue working right above the ear. Famos will now use his T-outliner right above the ear to give it a smooth blend. Using only the corner of the blade, Famos will begin to line up the sideburn area. Famos will now use a one guard to trim some of the hair down right below the occipital bone. Famos will now use a 5-star reflection to create a blend right below the transition from the HIGHBORN to the 4am. Famos will now use the one guard to go back and clean up any areas he might have missed. Famos will now go back to his T-outliner and begin to line up the neck area. When using the T-outliner, be careful not to apply too much pressure as the neck area is a bit sensitive. Famos will now flip his T-outliner upside down to define the lines on the 4am. Famos will continue using the T-outliner upside down to define the 4am, transitioning into the HIGHBORN. Famos will continue using the T-outliner for the lineup, keeping it as natural as possible. Still using the T-outliner, Famos will now go back and define any lines that he might have missed. Famos will now use his razor to begin shaving his inverted part. Shaving with and against the grain, making sure that his lines are nice and crispy. Famos will now use his blow dryer to apply some heat to create some volume. Famos will now use his 5-star to freehand and take out any hairs that may stick out. Now for the final touches, Famos will add product on the client's hair for the final look. And now for your final look, the inverted HIGHBORN, created by Famos Ramos.